Well, for those of you who are tuning in to this, welcome to our conversation with Emily Engel-Natzke. She is not only the video coach for the Hershey Bears, but the first female coach in the Washington Capitals organization. Emily, how is Hershey, first of all? You're talking about a place I spent 9 years of my career outside the NHL. There is absolutely no city, no place better to be. And I'm sure you have learned that during your time there. How have things been for you in Hershey so far?
It's been amazing. The thing that I've been, I think, most impressed by or taken back by is how friendly everyone is. And it doesn't matter if you're in the grocery store, getting gas, wherever it is, people are really friendly and really welcoming. So, it's been great the last couple of months. Obviously, things are a little different because of COVID and the park's not running like it normally would and things like that. But we're really happy to be here and we're really excited that the weather is starting to get really nice and we plan on exploring the area. So it's been awesome.
Well, hopefully, Chocolate World is still open. That is a must. That was always a must for me when I was there. Tell us a little bit about the story about how you came to be in the organization. I know that Brett Leanhart here in Washington was heavily involved. Tell us just a little bit more about that first.
Yeah, so I had met Brett Leonhardt and Tim Ohashi, who is now with the Seattle Kraken, at a conference in the summer of 2019. The software that they use was the same software that I was using in Wisconsin. So this company had a conference every summer. It was something that I had attended before, and we had connected there, got to know them a little bit, talked some shop, got to see kind of how they did things and vice versa. And I hadn't really, kept in touch very closely. But back in October, I got a text from Brett asking how I was doing, how the season was going, and I thought it was a little out of the blue. But he told me that there was an opening in Hershey. He asked if I would be interested, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
Your career had a pretty important pivot point in reading up about you. You got your degree from the University of Colorado. You're a hockey player. You play club hockey there. Film and TV major. Is that right?
Yes, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film Production.
Okay, so you are thinking along the lines of that as a career, but it didn't sound like that you were thinking that you'd be able to put those two things together until a job with USA Hockey came along. Now, how did you get started? How did it go from maybe doing E60s and things like that and working behind the scenes to be able to doing something like this with a hockey team?
I got really lucky that my club coach, Kristen Wright, was asked to be an assistant coach for the World University Games. It's something that happens every couple of years, and it's for club athletes. Basically, it's kind of like a mini Winter Olympics. So she was asked to be the assistant coach. And again, she called me out of the blue and said that they needed someone to do video for the team while they were over in Italy. And she asked if I would be interested. She obviously knew that I had a film background, hockey background, so I was someone that she thought of. And all she had to say was 2 weeks in Italy at the beginning of December, and I was in. I didn't really know what doing video meant, but that's kind of where I realized that this was a job people had, and it was a really great learning experience, and kind of like you said, kind of got the ball rolling in terms of my career.
You've this is the first time you and I have talked, but I have seen interview pieces with Anson Carter on NBC, NHL Network with Tony Luffman and EJ Raddick. This has been for you a lot of well-deserved national attention. Since you've landed the job, how proud are you to kind of lend that inspiration toward other girls who grew up playing hockey, thinking that this was a boys-only world? And then suddenly they look at you. They may not have known, obviously didn't know your name previously, but say, hey, wait a minute, maybe that's something I can do. I mean, that's got to be a really cool feeling.
It means a lot. I think representation is really important, whether that's gender equality, racial equality, seeing people that you can connect with and feel like they look like me or they seem like me, I think is really important for girls and boys and all sorts of kids growing up. So it really means a lot that I've been given kind of this platform to be maybe an inspiration for a young girl who wants to continue working in hockey after her playing career is over, or doesn't necessarily want to play the sport, but loves it and wants to get involved. So it means a lot. And I've been really fortunate that, people have wanted to tell my story and kind of get it out there.
It wasn't the dream for the beginning, as we kind of hit on, but what's the dream now that you've been able to do this for a while? You've in the middle of your first season. I want to get to that in a little bit too, of what it's like just day to day with the Bears. But how has your mindset changed from doing other things beyond hockey with your degree to doing this? What's next? Not that you're not, obviously doing what you want to do right now, but what's the dream now?
Um, Gosh, that's a really good question because I feel like, I'm in such a good spot right now. I'm really happy where I'm at. And I think, the ultimate dream for me would be to be a video coach in the NHL for an NHL team. That's something right now. And I think the cool thing about hockey is that there's so many different paths that you can take. A few years ago, I didn't see this path for myself, but now I'm here. So I think the exciting part is that the game of hockey and the people that are in it are kind of able to take you wherever you want to go. And so I kind of feel like the sky's the limit. But right now, my ultimate goal would be a video coach in the NHL.
We talked about one cool little town in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but you got to spend time in another as well. And I'm saying this full disclosure as someone whose father taught at the University of Minnesota in Madison, Wisconsin, one of the coolest cities I have ever been through, working the last 5 years before coming to Hershey at UW Madison. What did it mean to you to work in and around the Badgers? That obviously was the next step after you left USA Hockey and were able to work around the men's hockey program at Wisconsin. What was that experience like? What was Madison like? The college experience like? That's a really cool place to be.
Yeah, I think Madison is so underrated. People, I don't think really know about it because it's in Wisconsin. People think of Wisconsin as farms and cows and milk, but it's kind of a little hidden gem. It's beautiful. There's lakes, there's bike paths, running paths. There's always something to do in Madison. So, it was kind of the perfect spot for me to kind of grow my career and kind of grow as a person as well. It's where I met my wife. We got a dog there, we got a cat there. So it's kind of like, our starting point. But, the University of Wisconsin has a really big athletic department. It's really well known. It's in the Big Ten Conference. And I think one of the coolest things about that is you get to network with all sorts of different sports people, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball. You get to learn so many different things from different people who have a lot of different experience. So, being in Madison for 5 years, I learned so much. I got to meet and work with some really great people that I know I'll keep in touch with for the rest of my life. So, if no one's been to Madison, I would definitely recommend it. It's a beautiful place, and some place that I look forward to going back and visiting.
The town obviously, but just the college hockey experience. I mean, to be able to live that, and if you've been there 5 years, I mean, you got to see athletes that went through from freshmen all the way through to seniors. And I think one of the coolest things that you see on a college campus, and I come from a college hockey background too, is to be able to watch that maturity in other people too, and watching people grow up. And I remember senior night was always, at the senior banquet, was always the hardest night for the seniors, because that's a tough thing to leave too. I would imagine even for you leaving Madison and going to Hershey, it leaving a lot of really good memories there too.
The family atmosphere. You spend so much time around the staff and the team that you become kind of a second family. So it was definitely hard to leave them. But like I said, if we've called, we've FaceTimed, we've checked in. They had a really great season, won the Big Ten regular season championship. And like you said, you get to see players mature and, live out their dream. Cole Caulfield just signing his professional contract with Montreal. So it's really gratifying to see players, come in as wide-eyed freshmen and start to accomplish their dreams or get their degree and kind of see where life takes them. So it's a really unique experience, but something that I'm really grateful to kind of be a part of or have witnessed.
You mentioned the dog. I may have been told that the dog has an Instagram account and that the dog has a unique name to itself, so to speak.
Yes. So Hattrick is a dog that we rescued from the Dane County Humane Society in Madison on a complete whim. We weren't planning on getting a dog. Looking back, it probably wasn't the best time to be getting a dog either. But that's kind of how things happen. But she is a three-legged lab terrier mix. So hence the name Hattrick, the three legs. So she's our baby. She does have an Instagram account that I think she gained more followers than I did throughout this whole process. But we really love her. She's also loving Hershey. So she's a very great addition to our family.
I'm sure Hat Trick doesn't need the extra followers, but let's make sure anyway. What is the handle for those who may be looking here?
I believe it's Hattrick the hockey dog.
Okay, I think everyone watching should be able to figure out and find that. That's outstanding. You're well into your first season at this point. What's been the biggest surprise to you? Maybe different from college, different stepping into the pros than maybe it was at Wisconsin. You've had some time on the job now. What's maybe the biggest surprise for you coming into this new experience?
I don't know. I think honestly, I was pretty open-minded just on because of COVID. Things happen so quickly. With the season changing, schedules changing, games getting postponed because of positive tests or what have you. So I think I was pretty open to whatever this experience was going to be. But truth be told, a lot of it translated over from the college game. Obviously, the scheduling is a little different. You have games midweek, which is a little different. But I think to me, the surprising part was just kind of how, every day it's not the same, but, you're at the rink at the same time, practice is at the same time. Guys come in, this is their job, this is their livelihood. So, they're stretching, they're rolling out, they're getting ready for practice. They practice for an hour, and then they have the rest of the day. So I kind of came from that college mindset where, kids have class, they're kind of coming and going. Sometimes it's rushed because they're coming right from class to practice. So I think maybe the surprising part was how almost laid back it felt. But it's just because the schedule is, it's the same every day and you know exactly what to expect.
Yeah, one not just in addition to the college life, but an actual job for the guys and for the coaching staff as well. All right, so take me through a game night here. I'm always fascinated by the job because it has evolved over the course of. I mean, but when I started, this was VHS tapes, and that's probably dating me a little bit. But when you're in the AHL, it's like here's the game tape, and you're breaking it down on buses, and that part hasn't changed. Obviously, computers and all of that now. But Brett Lienhardt and Tim O'Hashy were here the last couple of years, and they always got a lot of love on our airwaves because they would be the ones that would be looking, hey, was that offside? Is that goalie interference? You're the split second timing. There's a lot of things that go into being the person who's sitting at the video and all things that I know you're experiencing now. Tell me just a little bit, take me through some of what a game night is like from the time that you get there before the game, the prep before the game, and what the in-game experience is like. Because I don't think it's all that different between there and here, but just maybe a little bit more on what goes into a night like that.
Sure. I think the biggest part for me is making sure that the coaches feel prepared for the game that night. So usually there'll be some meetings either in the morning or a couple of hours before the games to go over power play, penalty kill, so that all the players are on the same page. They kind of know what to expect from the other team. So making sure that the coaches feel like they're best prepared to take on our opponent that night. So they have what we call pre-scout the day before or the morning of, so they can look at our opponent's last couple of games, try to see some tendencies and things like that. And then in game, so I call it tagging or marking. I'm marking everything as it happens. So face-offs, breakouts, forechecks. I'm tagging all of our players' shifts. So as I get on and off the ice, I'm starting and stopping those. Like you said, kind of looking for offsides, goalie interference, weird things like that might be disputable. And just kind of anything that I see that I think the coaches might find value in. I'm trying to mark those as well. And in between periods, the coaches will come in. Some coaches will look at the game on their own computer and look for something specific. Spencer Carberry and Scotty Allen will watch our chances for and against to kind of get a good feel of, where things were maybe breaking down in that period, where we can improve. And they'll kind of go and take that to the guys and say, our breakouts were a little messy. Let's make sure we get back quicker, have good support, things like that. So they're able to make those in-game adjustments. And after the game, it's making sure, again, the coaches have the game on their computer. The players will get the game through an app on their iPad or on their phone. And then it's kind of creating reports for the coaches and kind of doing it all again for the next game.
How much time, let's just say one player, let's say Connor McMichael, you've got to be able to break, just for him alone, what kind of time is allocated toward it? These are all your shifts? Like he gets all of his shifts for the game, correct? And
Correct.
you can look at all of what he did in that game on his computer, phone, whatever, iPad. How much does it take per player to do something like that?
It's all happening in game, and I'll make little adjustments afterwards, kind of syncing everything up. So their shift starts when the puck drops and their shift ends either when they come off the ice or the whistle is blown. So my goal is to have all of their shifts ready to send out almost immediately after the game. So, by the time that they shower, they eat, they get home, if it's something they want to watch immediately, they have it. If they want to watch it the next morning, it's also available. So for me, my goal is to have that, pretty much immediately after the game, ready for each player who played.
That's just an incredible amount of data over the course of a season. And for those who don't know, we're watching, and this goes on every game for the Capitals and for every team that you follow, because this is the modern NHL, and tracking everything with the video coach is so very important to be able to give that kind of information to the player. And that's where they learn from it. Spencer Carberry, you mentioned, someone who I got to know when he was in South Carolina and have gotten to know outside the rink a little bit as well. Tremendously impressed by him. Highly regarded young coach in this league that I know that is going to be at the NHL level at some point. What has he meant to you and the coaching staff there in Hershey as well? You mentioned Scotty Allen, Pat Weller. These are guys that are terrific people. I know them all to one extent or another. This is, for them to be able to be, and well, for you, I mean, just maybe about Spencer first. What has he meant to you since you got there?
He's been incredible. Even before I got there, we talked on the phone a lot. And one of the first conversations that we had was making sure that the way that the locker room is set up and where our offices are, making sure that I would be comfortable, because the shower is at one end and the locker room is at one end. And in between those two things are the coaching offices. And so I would just say everything was really transparent right from the beginning. And the communication was open. And that's something I really value because, like I said, usually teams are a family type of setting. You spend a lot of time together. So right off the bat, he made me feel welcome. He wanted to make sure I was comfortable. And I've already learned so much from him. When we go over pre-scout and I see something, he'll make sure to point out other small things that I may not have seen. And he'll say, you'll see this team do this kind of forecheck, and this is why they're doing it, and this is how we want to be able to attack it. So like you said, really up and coming. I know he's really highly regarded throughout the American Hockey League and the NHL as well. So it's been a great learning process and someone I'm really excited to learn from.
A little more on you. You grew up a Colorado Avalanche fan, and from what I understand, Patrick Waugh was first and foremost on your list. Why Patrick?
So I loved his competitive spirit. I don't want to say was a wild card, but I think he always had something up his sleeve. And like I said, just such a competitor. And for me, that was something that really spoke to me. One of the hardest position in all of sports is being a goalie. And I think he just lived and breathed being a goalie and kind of having that pressure on his shoulders. So he was really fun to watch. He was really good at what he did. And he's pretty much made me want to be a goalie when I started playing.
You were a goalie from what age, and then all the way through University of Colorado? How many years did you play?
I started in middle school, I think around sixth grade, so 11 or 12 years old. And it was kind of one of those things where no one else on our team wanted to play goalie. So I just said, well, I guess I'll try it. I saw Patrick Waugh do it. How hard could it be? It looks fun. So that's kind of where I started. My parents thought I was kind of crazy maybe to pick that position, but I fell in love with it. And I played goalie throughout high school, and then, like you mentioned, at the University of Colorado.
You had mentioned you talked with Brett Lienhart originally about this. How much daily communication do you have with the Capitals and with Brett specifically?
There isn't a ton of daily communication. I think one of the unique things about Hershey and Washington is how close they are. Just talking with other video coaches who work in Hartford and with the Rangers, it's not nearly as close as it is with Hershey and the Caps. So I think that's a really unique relationship that the two teams have, and it's really important because in Hershey we want to have a similar style of play to Washington. So whether it's sending clips back and forth, there's a lot of communication. So I wouldn't say it's daily, but he checks in, makes sure I'm doing okay in between his busy schedule and making sure that I have everything that I need. But that relationship has been really great too.
Yeah, that affiliation back to 2005. It's been for me and for others. It's been obviously a very good partnership and place to grow and place to move up the ladder. Last thing before we let you go, Emily, the season itself for Hershey has been pretty good up until now, getting some tremendous goaltending. This team, it's a strange year. There's nothing about this has been normal, and certainly your first season at the AHL level is going to be remembered for a lot of different things besides yourself and getting there and all of that. But this has been good as far as wins and losses are concerned. Tell us a little bit about the Bears season to this point.
Yeah, it's definitely been good. I think we started off with a couple of ties, but like you said, there's a lot of movement in the lineup because of the taxi squad this year and things like that. But I think the players have been really resilient and dealing with kind of the adversity that comes with playing in a COVID season. And they've really kind of put their best foot forward, their best effort every night. And you're seeing those results. I think we went 4-0 in the last 4 games. So it was a good stretch for us. And they want to play for each other too. They're sticking up for each other, doing things the right way. So I think it's a good team. It's definitely maybe a different mix of players than people in Hershey are used to seeing. There's some faces up from South Carolina and different PTOs on the roster right now, but it's good hockey to watch, and I think the guys are playing really well.
Well, Emily, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us here and getting to know you a little bit. And I hope you have a terrific season. Congratulations on all of your success up till now, and the best to you. And it's a hat trick too, I suppose, as we move forward here. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.